I'm joined right now by the former U.S. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development in the Obama administration, Sean Donovan. Sean, welcome. Thank you for being here. I understand you can talk about President Carter in a way that others may not be able to. Give us, first of all, your reflections about him on this really somber day, but yet the beginning of 6 days of commemorating him, his life, his accomplishments as the country mourns him.
Absolutely, Alex. And it is a bittersweet day. For me, the sweet part, I would say, is what a remarkable legacy he left, not just in his presidency, but after leaving the White House. And as you said, I had the chance over decades to hammer nails alongside him. He was an incredibly hard worker. You could tell by how worn down his tool belt was that this is something he did year after year over decades. But I also had the chance to sit with him at dinner with Rosalynn, get to know them a little bit because his legacy in housing was so deep. And you know, you were just talking about the ways in which he was humble and he stayed connected to his roots. I'll never forget Rosalynn telling me, kind of whispering to me at a dinner one night, the way they used to sneak off from Camp David. If you can imagine this in today's security environment, they would sneak off, visit with a farmer they'd gotten to know nearby, stay in a shack, fish in the stream there, and they just loved it. It was one of their favorite parts of kind of disappearing from Camp David. And so they were remarkable people who left a remarkable and I think unique legacy for this country.
And tell me again, did I miss where you worked? I'm recalling Memphis. That is where one of our colleagues, Jonathan Alter, actually helped build a house with them. Where did you work with them in Habitat for Humanity?
I actually worked with him in New York City, believe it or not, with the Habitat chapter there, in Charlotte, in a number of different places around the country when I was HUD secretary, but also before that, when I ran housing in New York City. And I think, you know, one of the things that is certainly bittersweet as well, despite his contributions, we're at a moment where we have the worst affordable housing crisis this country has ever seen. As you know, Alex, we just learned 2 weeks ago that we had the worst homelessness crisis this country has ever seen, more people sleeping on our streets and in shelter. And I think what the message of what President Carter did, not just by hammering nails himself, but by really making Habitat for Humanity famous, Habitat requires everyone who benefits from one of their homes to get out and hammer nails, to put that sweat equity into a home, and volunteers from all over the world now build houses for them. And I think it really shows at a time when this housing crisis is affecting more people than it ever has in the history of our country, that each of us has a responsibility. Whether we're a low-income family on the verge of homelessness who's benefiting from a Habitat home, or a former president, can contribute to solving this crisis, because we do know how to solve it. We just need to step up and do that at a moment when this crisis is as bad as we've ever seen in the U.S.
I'm curious, Sean, how you think former President Carter would react to the HUD report and the soaring homelessness across this country. How would he feel about that?
I think he would say it is an American tragedy. Just one statistic in this, Alex. We have 39% more homeless families, over a third more than we had the year before, of families with children sleeping on our streets or in shelter. I've been doing this work for 30 years. I've never seen anything that comes close to this. This is the largest single year increase we've ever seen in the history of keeping these numbers, 18%. And that comes a year after we saw a record level increase of 12%. So over just 2 years, we've seen homelessness increase in this country by almost a third. And if President Carter were here today talking about this, he would say it is an American shame and that every one of us should pick up a hammer and go to work to solve this crisis.